Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send me a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. All right, we got game 4 tonight. So, on one level, I understand the argument. This game is not particularly interesting for a number of reasons. Most notably, we feel like the series is always over, that Golden State is going to walk to this. Even if Golden State doesn't win this game, we feel like Golden State will win game 5. Or if they play a game 6, they'll win game 6. That's where we are. We feel like this whole thing is over. But don't y'all pretend like y'all don't want to watch this. Not all of y'all, but a bunch of y'all want to watch this. And you know why a bunch of y'all want to watch this. A bunch of y'all want to watch this because y'all want to see if LeBron gets swept out the finals at the crib. Come on now. You know you want to see that because, you know.
Oh, man. Hey.
Yeah, they still going to do numbers. They are still going to do numbers on this game because, again, it's still LeBron. I don't know what postseason game you could throw out there for LeBron that is not compelling in some way. Why? Because it's still LeBron. That's in large part why we are here. The Warriors, they kind of got this dilemma, right? So do the Warriors want to win this on their own home court, or do they want to win this in Cleveland again? And I got to say, man, it's entirely possible these cats on the Warriors are only going to win 2 championships their whole careers. That's how the game can often go. How bummed out would you be if you won 2 championships and both times you was partying in Cleveland? Like, I think the biggest win ever on that one was when the Mavericks won that championship in Miami, and then Mark Cuban put a mill down and went down and blew it up at Live, right? That's a different sort of win on their home floor. They don't even care about the floor part. They try to, the road club was a little crack-a-lacking, right? But the Warriors, no. They could take this back to the crib. If I'm the Warriors, man, honestly, let's go out here and shade some points. Let's bring this back to the house so we can celebrate with the home folks. That'd be the way that I'd see it, right? That would be me. Now, the homie Draymond Green is all about winning the championship in Cleveland. In fact, here he is in one of these off-day press conferences.
It'll be very satisfying to do that. We've obviously won it here before, and it's a great feeling, winning on somebody else's floor, celebrating on their floor, celebrating in their locker room, quieting their crowd. As an athlete, one of the best feelings is going into an opposing enemy territory and just silencing that crowd. So it'll be a great feeling, but at the end of the day, it don't matter where you win it at as long as you can win it. Obviously, the opportunity is to win it here, so you want to take advantage of that. And try to close it out as soon as you can.
Yeah, I'd rather win it at the crib. But on the other side, to be fair, on the other side, Steph Curry could then once again make the "I hope their locker room still smells like champagne" joke. Remember, he did that. You might recall that he did that. These are the topics that we have now because it's a 3-0 NBA Finals series, and I actually do think there's something to be said. Would you rather win it at the crib or would you rather win it on the road? Should we put that on the poll?
That's going up on a poll. Would you rather win it at the crib or win it at the road, or on the road, or it doesn't matter as long as you win it?
Now take that week.
That's what Draymond said,
I don't care if that's what he said. It ain't the right time with Draymond Green. I don't care what he said. We're going to say that.
Speaking of winning it on the road, does an organization have someone that goes out scouting where to go, where to party that night in the event that they win it?
Yes, and whoever does that for the Warriors has the hardest job in America. Where we go turn up in Cleveland in the ways that they want to turn up. They were like, can we get a charter flight to Chicago? Like, I just feel like for them it's going to be a little different. Now, what? Oh, the Cavs, right? They caught the charter last year and went to Vegas. Remember that? They won it in Oakland. They got on the charter. They went to Vegas because, Vegas still cracking. What time Cleveland closed down? Can we look that up? Like, I'll get the feeling that the game's going to end in Cleveland, and then you get out of there at like 1 o'clock, and it's like, yo, we can kick it all night. I could be wrong, but I'm not betting on that being the move. Now, one thing that's interesting, also talking about Draymond Green in this, Draymond Green says that he texted Kevin Durant last year after the game on the way to the crib. He said the first person he called him. He said the first person he called was Bob Myers, the general manager, to tell him, we got to go get Kevin Durant. And then he said he called Kevin Durant, but he wasn't tampering. He was just calling his homeboy, Kevin Durant, because you can't do that sort of thing. And so the way Draymond sees it, Draymond looks at it like, okay, he got suspended last year, and he feels like that might have cost the Warriors the title, but he doesn't regret it because he doesn't do regrets, which, all right, whatever. So the way he sees it, losing last year meant that Kevin Durant showed up this year, so it's kind of sort of all worth it. And number one, I think we'd all have to admit that if that's the trade, that trade works. You make that trade every time. Yeah, we'll blow a 3-1 lead if we can get Kevin Durant and maybe walk to the next 3. We'll do that. But why are people under this mistaken impression that the only reason Kevin Durant would, not that the only reason that Kevin Durant would go to the Warriors would be that they didn't win a championship, but that if they had won a championship, then Kevin Durant is going to be like, nah, man, I'm going to just stay in Oklahoma City. Bro, they started trying to get Kevin Durant to come there way sooner than that. When they were running through the league, when their record is like 50-3 or whatever it was, they were already talking to Kevin Durant about coming to Oakland. Like, that had been the plan from the jump. What do you think? Kevin Durant's like, nah, man, I was going to come there, man, but y'all too good now. No, I can't do that. Now, I do think it would have been different if Kevin Durant and the Thunder had beaten the Warriors and then he went to the Warriors. Now, I do think that maybe that would have been a little bit difficult for him to pull off, right? I think that might have been a little more than he was willing to do. But I'm not coming because the Warriors won the championship? Psh, please. That's a great reason to show up. And what you think? You think if the Warriors won the championship, that they were going to be like, no, guys. We're going to stick with Harrison Barnes. Do you guys think that was what was going to happen? Like, do you think they were going to say, hey, man, we won a championship and went 7 games with the Cavs, but, you can't give up on a guy like Harrison Barnes. Not even for Kevin Durant. Hell no, man. They was going to get the best guy that they could, right? The best guy that was available in free agency. It's like, think about this. You're the Warriors. All right, our small forward is a free agent, and somebody's probably going to pay him $20-something million a year. Hey, guys, can we go out and see if maybe there's another small forward that we could get that might be better than we don't have a small forward right now because Harrison Barnes is gone. We don't have a small forward right now. Well, who's the best small forward that's available? Kevin Durant. Hey, you guys want to see if maybe he'll show up? Right? Like, who is going to be like, no, guys, we're sticking with Harrison. Durant's too good. We just won a championship. Why would we want to get better? See, that's the mistake that you could argue that the Cavs made this year. Right? Like, the argument you can make about the Cavs is the Cavs managed to get to that championship. Now, granted, it seemed to involve an injured Steph Curry, the suspension of Draymond Green, Andrew Bogut going out, whatever it was. But the Cavs won a championship, and there's nothing like winning a championship to make teams mess around, look at their squad, and say to themselves, yeah, we're good. Right? And that's the way I think the Cavs looked at it. I think the Cavs looked at it as though they did not win in 2015 because they were hurt. They were fully healthy, and they're like, yeah, see, we won. Of course, ignoring the Golden State wasn't fully healthy, but whatever. But they're like, all right, we had our guys. We won. Nah, we're good. Now, if the Cavs had lost that one in the 7th game, do you think Kevin Love is there? Like, Dan and I talk about this all the time. The Ray Allen shot in 2013 with the Heat. If Ray Allen doesn't make that shot, they are immediately trying to figure out what they can get for Chris Bosh, and they're going to retool that team. Like, that's how thin the margins are. Then you wound up the following year with the Heat when they're getting run out of the finals by the Spurs because they just weren't good enough. Right? Like, maybe even with that championship, they should have given some thought to moving Chris Bosh. But you don't think about moving Chris Bosh. Why? We won a championship. I don't feel like the Warriors were going to fall for that one. Like, I feel like Lacob is on something completely different and be like, hey, man, sometimes you got to be cold about it. Sometimes you got to be hardcore about it. And sometimes you say thank you to the guys that got you this far. And sometimes you chuck them to deuce. Like, one thing you need to understand about, like, very successful companies. You know what very successful companies do every day? Fire people. Like, think about that, right? Like, I guess McDonald's is having some troubles of their own right now, but pick any company that's just out here balling out of control, right? You think there's any guy that's like, yo, so we would fire Johnny over there in accounting, but revenues are really high. No, man, they're out here trying to get these revenues up higher. And that's what Kevin Durant is. Higher revenues. Yeah, they was going to bring them there no matter what happened. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Give us a call. Coming up next, we got your phone calls. And also, apparently, some of those Cavs are upset with Steph Curry. Find out why on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Michael Wilbon will join us next segment. Michael Wilbon will join us at 4:30 Eastern. Oh, Bruce Bowen. Wilbon's in at 5 o'clock. Bruce Bowen joins the next segment. We'll ask him where the Spurs party when they won a championship in Cleveland. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. And, hey, stop Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. They changed it on me, man. Like, I mean, I've been doing the same thing for like over a year. Every now and then they're going to get the old one, all right? If it ain't half the cost no more, blame them, not me. I'm not the one that made these changes. Anyway, moving on, we talked a little bit last segment about, like, just the idea. What would you rather do? Win a championship in front of your adoring home fans or win one spiting the crowd on the road? Check out the ESPN Radio Twitter account at ESPN Radio and put in your vote. 888-729-3776. Let's hit the phone. Talk to Mike in Louisiana. Mike, thanks for calling The Right Time.
Hey, Bomani, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Hey, listen, man, it's pretty apparent to me watching these playoffs that to beat Golden State, you're going to have a super team. It seems to me like the only team that's poised for that in the future is the New Orleans Pelicans with Boogie Cousins and Anthony Davis. You know, they pick up a legit superstar guard, Dillard, DeRozan, somebody like that. They could be set to make a run.
You know,
what do you think?
Let me tell you, and I appreciate the call, and as much as when I saw this call here, I wanted to dismiss it as being a bit too optimistic, I would have said the same thing about the Warriors in 2014, right? Like when they fired Mark Jackson after they won 50 games, I was like, well, how many games do you think he's supposed to win with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green? 67 was the answer, by the way. Like that, they got to 67 right after that, right? But no, with the Pelicans, if they somehow did get that one more player, right? If they somehow got one more guy, and look, we still don't know what the deal is because it's going to take an offseason to figure out how to get Davis and Cousins playing right together. But if they got one more guy, who's to say they can't take off? They don't necessarily become what the Warriors are now, but we talked about this before where we're all trying to figure out who's going to get up there and challenge the Warriors and, like, who's going to make the free agent move. That's not what the Warriors did, in effect. The Warriors just made some changes with what they had. Like, the team that's going to do this is going to have to build organically. And maybe there'll be some big change that we don't see coming like it was with the Warriors, even though I ain't never seen anything from the Warriors like that, rather. Like, Shane, you got anything like that where you just looked up one day and all of a sudden, like, they're like the 99 Rams, right? Like, y'all were not good. Now, all of a sudden, it's like borderline dynastic with just a couple tweaks.
And you become the model that everyone tries to duplicate.
Right. Right, although the 99 Rams did add Marshall Faulk. I guess that makes it a little different. But it was the same thing, though. They changed systems. Right, Mike Martz comes in, Kurt Warner, unlikely field general. Now, all of a sudden, looks like something we've never seen before. Is that the closest analog that we got to what the Warriors have done? All right, okay. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. And let's hit the phone. Talk to Ed from D.C. Ed, thanks for calling The Right Time.
I listen to you all the time. And I think I understand your logic. And about 2 weeks ago, you said you didn't want Dan Gilbert to win again.
Correct.
So isn't this a win-win for LeBron? Because if they win tonight, then Golden State wins at their home and they get another paycheck. Dan Gilbert doesn't. If they lose tonight, Golden State has to party in Cleveland.
You know, I have to say, my man Ed, thank you for the call. There is something to that. By the way, Shannon, was not expecting Ed from D.C. to sound like that, were you?
Appreciate the call, Ed.
I didn't see that coming. I don't even know where in D.C. Ed is calling from. But, yes, there is a certain win-win there. Except we'll talk more about this later in the show, but I don't think LeBron thinks anything about Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert to him is dude. I mean, dude. When's the last time you think LeBron said the words Dan and Gilbert? I try this one on. Do you think that LeBron has ever said the phrase Mr. Gilbert? I don't think he has ever used the phrase Mr. Gilbert. Anyway, switching gears right fast. Your man Steph Curry was at the off-day press conference yesterday. He kind of stunted on him. He looked like he was intimating as though he was defecating on the court. after Kevin Durant made that shot. And Steph says, yeah, I don't know what that is. It was just spontaneous. Fool, you knew what that was. Like, you just do it. Like, I want to ask his wife that. Does Steph every now and then just get really excited and stop and act like he's about to boo-boo? Like, is that just his thing? Like, maybe his wife does. No, Steph always pretends like he's about to boo-boo. Like, I have a hard time believing that that's just how he gets down on a regular basis. But anyway, we saw Steph in the game with Iman Shumpert, and they had a little back and forth. It did not get to the point of the kerfuffle, but it was Steph up in Iman Shumpert's face and vice versa. And Steph's like, yo, somebody let me hold a number 2 pencil because they test it.
I mean, I smile and laugh and have fun and play with joy and all that. That's kind of who I am. But, yeah, I have a killer instinct in me. There's a toughness about me that, I'm out on the floor. You can't really just try to push me around or try to be physical. That really doesn't get under my skin at all. Last night was just – it was much ado about nothing, to be honest with you. And it was a situation where you just talking, and at this point, you know that when two guys kind of get into it, chirping a little bit, there's going to be a reaction around on the floor from the refs, from teams, and all that kind of stuff. But I don't trash talk much. I'm not afraid to talk back if I need to, but I try to stay out of those situations and not get distracted from what I'm trying to do on the floor from an execution standpoint and just doing my thing.
Shumpert looked so frustrated when he was talking that noise with Steph. He looked so frustrated he was talking that noise with Steph. And you know why Shumpert looked so frustrated talking that noise with Steph? He knows he's not as good as Steph, and he can't fight Steph. Like, what weapon do you have if you're Iman Shumpert? All you got is, man, my girl bad as hell. That's all he has. Like I feel like that's the answer. Iman Shumpert, you can't ball. You seen that video? That's about all he's got there. Now, you tell me this. If you're the Cavs, and Steph did that little defecate thing on the court, right? And he says he didn't realize what he was doing, whatever. I mean, y'all got to put Dante Jones in the starting lineup, right? You have no other choice, right? Give it up for the low bridge, Dante Jones. Now, Shannon, you correct me if I'm wrong. Dante Jones is a shooting guard, right?
Theoretically.
Are you sure that they would get more from J.R. Smith or Iman Shumpert as shooting guard than they would from Dante Jones?
I can't say that with all the confidence.
None of us can say that with all the confidence in the world. That is correct. So why not just have Dante Jones out there? Just for the tip. Just out there. Get 6 fouls as fast as he can. Wow, the Warriors are in the bonus with 9 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter. Also, Dante Jones is fouled out.
Oh, if you think about it, though, we're talking about slowing the game down, and wouldn't you want to sacrifice 2s instead of 3s? I mean, Dante got 6 good ones.
He does.
If you get to a point and you're early on in the game and you're already over the limit in first or second quarter, Dante come in and give you 6 good ones.
Yeah, because, look, I expect there to be some physicality in this one. If for no other reason, then why not if you're the Cavs, right? Like, I would expect that. Because, I mean, look, man, these are dudes with pride, and they do not want to get swept. Of course, the dilemma with this is, while they don't want to get swept, who wants to get on a plane just for the privilege of watching them win the championship, in front of you on their home floor? Although, Shannon, to be fair, that's what we thought last year, that all they was doing was getting back on that plane so that they could go watch the Warriors win in Oakland, and then it never happened. So then maybe the Cavs could win Game 4 and then win Game 5, so then they could watch, the Warriors win in Cleveland. Like, that needs to be their whole thing, right? Our whole thing is we can't win this series, but we can make these dudes take another flight to Cleveland. You got to take the victories where you can, right? Like, they're little things that you got to go for, the small things. That's what you got to do. Make them come back here, because we got to come back here. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE network. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Bruce Bowen. We're trying to figure out where you go party if you win a championship in Cleveland. Bruce Bowen did that once. You're listening to ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. Do you do truck stuff? Getting muddy stuff? What about look at me stuff? The Firestone Destination all-terrain tires are ready to go wherever the road takes you, from the city to the backwoods, from Main Street to no streets, and any truck stuff in between. Built to adapt to wet or dry weather with on-road handling and off-road toughness, Firestone Destination tires are equipped with the technology for a smooth and quiet ride. Also, check out the Firestone LE2 tires backed by our 60,000-mile limited tread wear warranty for your CUV, SUV, or light truck. And if you're really ready for some truck stuff, test out the Firestone AT and MT tires with all-season performance to take you on the beaten path. Get some Firestone Destination tires and go do truck stuff. Because after all trucks do stuff, but not all trucks do truck stuff. Whatever you drive a Firestone.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Hope Bruce Bowen will join us in just a few minutes. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. We got a poll up on the ESPN Radio Twitter account. Where would you rather win your championship? At home in front of adoring fans or spiting the fans on the road? Let's hit the polls and ask Wes from Arkansas what he thinks about that. Wes, thanks for calling The Right Time.
Thanks for having me on, Bomani.
Yes, sir.
I heard you say earlier in the show how you thought perhaps they should maybe take a game off so they can win in front of their home fans. I would remind you that there's two people on the Cavaliers, LeBron and Kyrie, who are two of the only people who have come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals, and KD's feet ain't what they used to be, and perhaps he gets zaza'd in Game 5, and then all of a sudden it's 3-2, and your desire to win in front of your home fans has now cost you Kevin Durant, and then what kind of trouble are you in?
Well, I believe you got a point there, Wes. I appreciate the call, even though you just decided, hey, let me throw a wet blanket on all your fun. Right, let me just throw a wet blanket on all the fun. Of course, you can't risk it in real life. I'm just saying you should have some confidence about yourself and feel as though y'all can't blow no 3-0 lead. We could beat anybody 4 in a row. I don't care if we got Kevin Durant or not. I mean, they were pretty good without Kevin Durant this year also. See, you got to have some confidence. Come on, man, just let me have my fun. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Let's talk to Devin in Charlotte. Devin, thanks for calling The Right Time.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I've got a question. It seems to me that Tyronn Lue is getting a pass. I think he's been exposed, and by a comment that Steve Kerr made, that he said that the fatigue was a factor because of all the isolation plays that Cavaliers play. And I think that sort of has exposed that they're playing this sort of late 90s style of basketball again. They're reverting back to a style of basketball that is not really relevant or one that you can win with today. And despite the disparity in the talent level, I don't think Tyronn Lue is making use of the talent that he has in an effective way, and I think he's getting a pass now.
Well, Devin, man, I appreciate the call and did not expect Devin to sound like that. Where I would disagree is the idea that they're playing late 90s basketball. You can't have a team that shoots as many threes as the Cavaliers have and then say that they're playing a late 90s style of basketball. That's not what's happening. What has happened, though, is they have played a lot of one-on-one basketball, and I think that's less about the coach than it is about that Warriors defense got out there, and that's the option they had. We got LeBron and Kyrie. Let's go from there. But even within that, they're running the screen roll, they're running the different actions that people are. Dude, the Warriors are just on it. They're on it. And so I think on one level, yes, you could say that Steve Kerr took a shot at Lue by saying they're going to get fatigued because they play so much one-on-one basketball. Like, I totally get that. But I think if you gave Steve Kerr this same roster, he's probably doing the same thing. Like, as much as Steve Kerr and the Warriors, I think, have done a great job of recognizing what the talent is on their roster and building a system around that, let us not forget that this is a talent-driven situation here, right? Like, that's what this is. This is talent that is pushing this. If Steve Kerr had what the Cavs had, they're not running the same offense as the one that they run in Golden State. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. We're asking, where would you rather win your championship? At home with your people, on the road looking at all those sad faces? Let's hit the phones and talk to Andre from Michigan. Andre, thanks for calling The Right Time. Andre. All right, we lost Andre. I was expecting Andre to be French. Let's hit the phones and talk to Michelle in Knoxville. Michelle, thanks for calling The Right Time.
Hi, Bomani. I love your show.
Thank you.
As long as I'm winning a ring, it doesn't matter where I win that ring at. So if it's at home, awesome. But if it's on the road, it's just even greater. So I'm pulling for I'm a Warriors fan, so I'm pulling for the Warriors. And I always said that I thought they would sweep them this year. So that's my answer.
All right, Michelle, I appreciate the call. And I got to say, I feel a little differently simply in that I don't want the best moment of my professional life to happen in Cleveland, bro. I just don't. Like that's not how I want to commemorate it. That's not how I want to remember the greatest of my basketball greatness is out here. That's just me. Not how I want to do it. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our number. Let's talk to Mike in Alaska. Mike, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, what's up, Bomani? I'm at work right now. But, hey, this is exactly what I would do. I would win in Cleveland, and I'll have Steph go ahead and do that TO in the middle of the court. All right, that's all. Have a good day.
All right, man, you too. That was Mike from Alaska, Shed.
Glad he gave you the heads up that he was at work.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, boy, I'm at work. I just want to get this in really, really quickly.
Shout out to the homie Francis in Maryland. He used to call my show from work talking like this, trying to whisper. Like, why are you so quiet? Speak up. He's sitting on the office phone.
Usually when you get those calls from work like that, it's when somebody's calling for a contest.
Yeah.
Am I calling number 9? No? Okay. All right, bye.
So we had Devin from, I don't remember what city Devin called from, but Devin did not sound the way that we thought Devin would sound. Ed from D.C. did not sound like we thought Ed from D.C. would sound. I'm now really disappointed that we did not get Andre. Really, really disappointed.
Did get a call from Alaska, though.
And that was Mike. And you didn't think Mike from Alaska was going to sound like that, did you? We handling the earth right now. 888-729-3776 on the BJ in Dallas. BJ, thanks for calling the right time.
What's up with it, Bomani?
Doing all right.
All right, man. I'm down here, man, in Dallas, man. I just wanted to comment on yesterday, man. I was listening to your show, man, and you was talking about what Steph did in the middle of the court. Well, let me explain that to a few people that don't understand. See, down here in Texas, man, we call that stunning. You know what I'm saying? When you stun on somebody, you know what I'm saying, you basically SHIT on them, you know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Steph was doing. He was stunting on Cleveland, you know what I mean? So, and of course, to what you're talking about today, yeah, they need to go and close out in Cleveland, man, and go and stun on them again. You know what I'm saying? Let the whole team go out in the middle of the court. You know what I'm saying? And stun on them right in the middle of the court, man. That's what the king needs. You know what I'm saying?
You might be right, man. Hey, I appreciate the call. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number, bro. We have just, we got everything for you in this latest run of callers. I think this hour's worth of callers, we gave you about as much America as you could ask for from a random sample of 5 phone calls. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. More independent agents sell Progressive Insurance than any other brand. Find an agent at Progressive.com today. Now, that's Progressive. Coming up next, David Price signed a $217 million contract to pitch for the Red Sox. I'm not sure it's worth it. You're listening to ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Our guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Bruce Bowen will join us at the top of the hour. Bruce Bowen will join us at 5 o'clock Eastern. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Tune into an NL Central battle on Sunday Night Baseball as the Red Sox host the Tigers, presented by Firestone. Coverage of Sunday Night Baseball begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNradio.com, and the ESPN app, and at 8 p.m. on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Not going so well for David Price. I did Highly Questionable today. And they asked, so do you think it's going to end well for David Price in Boston? And I got to be honest, when David Price signed that contract for 7 years at $217 million with the Red Sox, I first thought right there was, no, this is not going to end well. Now, the biggest reason I thought it wasn't going to end well when I saw that was he's a starting pitcher that was right there around 30, right? Now, keep in mind, the Tampa Bay Rays traded him to the Tigers, and then he wound up signing – he went to the Tigers, then the Blue Jays, then he wound up with the Red Sox. He made a circuitous route, but the big thing was with the Rays. The Rays don't keep pitchers after 30. They've just done the math and decided that with their budget situation and everything else, you don't keep starting pitchers after 30. Starting pitchers after 30 is like getting a running back after 27. You might get some more from them, but it ain't something that you can bet on, right? And so the Red Sox are like, hey, we got all the money, and this is a really, really, really good pitcher. So they brought him in. Now, of course, he has this one fatal flaw, which is he'd be out here getting rocked in October. I'm not sure David Price has had a good performance in October since 2008, right? So, anyway, Price, when he was hurt a lot of the offseason, this is kind of his spring training now. He's kind of throwing himself into shape of sorts, but he's a little frustrated, Last year, apparently, he said that people were hitting him with the racial slurs at home. At home, he said that this was happening to him. Then he gets in here this year. It didn't go so well. He got rocked last night by the Yankees. Sanchez hit 2 home runs off of him. The day before, he had informed the media that he would only talk to them on the days that he pitched. And apparently the media weren't going for that, although she ended up coming to find out apparently Chris Sale also only talks to the media on the days he pitches and after the game, only after the game. But Price got tired of the media, apparently said, F them all. And the media, boy, we get real self-important about that. How dare you not want to talk to us? And all I'm saying is, I can understand why David Price is a little bit stressed out, right? That's not an easy place to play if it's not going well for you. It ain't so easy to play there when it is going well for you, but it ain't an easy place for you to play when it's not going well for you. And it isn't going well for him right now, and I'm not sure when exactly it's going to get better. Last year, his highest ERA that he's put up in a year where he's qualified for the ERA title. And on top of it, he's sensitive. Isn't he the dude who talked about all the dorks or the geeks or the nerds or whatever it was? This is a bad combination of factors for one guy to be in one city at one place in his career with the one fatal flaw that he appears to have, right? Because the thing with me and Price that you always have to remember is that since everybody knows he's not so good in October, even if Price gets to rolling, right? Let's say Price goes on a 10-start winning streak after this one. What are we all going to say after that? Well, guess we're just going to see what he does in the postseason. And it seems to be fair, right? It seems to be a legitimate thing to say about him at this point. Now, people say it's been a small sample with him in the postseason. Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes things come up as statistically significant even within a small sample. I'd be curious to know if anybody could do some correlation stuff on this with David Price to figure out if it would come up as being significant. But it appears to be a bit significant. I feel like we've seen enough of these. And by the way, it's not like Clayton Kershaw, where people talk about Clayton Kershaw's been bad in the postseason. Then you go back and look at it and realize Clayton Kershaw's actually had a couple of bad innings in the postseason that skew the larger numbers. David Price has been bad in the postseason.
All right, well, if the red flags were there from the start with him going to Boston, why did he sign?
Why did he sign?
Yeah.
Did you just ask me why it is that he signed a contract for $217 million?
Well, we knew going into it if it didn't seem like the best kind of match. And I get the 217, but at the same time, yes, 217 will make you happy. But he seems to be miserable. We were watching yesterday as he was warming up prior to the Yankees game, and he was not uninterested, but something wasn't right with him.
How much misery would you be willing to put up with for $217 million? I understand that this is just a crazy hypothetical, but I'm throwing it at you. Jesse asked, why did he sign there? I'm just curious. What do you think you could put up with some booing for $217 million?
And what I'm saying is, if I wouldn't mind signing somewhere else if it wasn't necessary for that 217, but if I could sign for a lower number to go somewhere that I felt was going to be happy.
Okay. How much booing would you be willing to put up with for an extra $20 million?
All the booing.
That's all I'm saying. That's it. Because I do think that you are correct, by the way, in this. It's fair to make the question. Like, maybe you go somewhere where you'll be a little happier. But everybody thinks the same thing, man. Everybody thinks, I'll be all right. Right? Like, everybody thinks, Carl Crawford thought, I'll be all right. Then Carl Crawford goes on his rehab assignment. And they out here calling him a Monday. On his rehab assignment, right? That money comes out there, and you got to ask yourself, and you got to ask your crew. I can do this, right? I can do this, right? And by the way, David Price worth the money, right? I'm looking at FanGraphs right now. His 2016 performance, the value they gave on that, $36 million, right? This year, of course, a little different, and we got questions about his arm. That's the other part he's got to be stressed about too, right? You got questions about what his arm is going. It's a lot going on for that dude, and it sounds like he's miserable in the last place as a professional athlete that you want to be miserable, because they're not about to hug you and tell you that everything is going to be okay. They're going to tell you to get your keister out there and pitch, period. And, dealing with Dan Shaughnessy, which is kind of what got us into this place of discussion in the first place. You're not the first to get mad at him, buddy. No, you're not. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Coming up next, we're going to find out what it's like to party in Cleveland after winning a championship from Bruce Bowen on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back Monday for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
Hardship. My grandmother would go through it every month to pay her insurance bill. First, she would handwrite a paper check in cursive. Then, using her own tongue, she would wet a stamp for an envelope. Today, however, we need not weary our hands and tongues. Today, we can pay our Geico bill with the Geico app. Away with hardship, in with bill pay on the Geico app. Thank you.